Alright, welcome everybody to my video on my two Henry rifles I have here. Uh, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about the Henry rifle. I'm not going to really go into function or too much of history on them. I just kind of wanted to show my two Uberti replicas that I have here. They're a little bit different than the typical replicas. Have little odd features about them that I'd like to share. Um, but just going back a little bit, these are replicas of the early pre-Winchester lever action rifles that Tyler Henry designed. The top one is a brass frame version, and the bottom one is an iron frame version, although I'm sure this is modern steel. Just to give a little history on those two, the original iron frame Henry is probably the holy grail of Winchester, pre-Winchester lever action rifles. If you can find one of those, you have hit the gold mine. I never going to have the six-figure expendable income to purchase one, so I had wanted one of these for quite a while. I always wanted the blued version. The more common version is case hardened, but I always wanted the blued version because from everything I'd read, most of the books and stuff I've read indicate that the original iron frame Henrys were blued, although there is some instances of some supposed case hardened ones I've seen pictures of. I couldn't really tell that they were case hardened, but anyway, they apparently both exist in some form, and they are extremely rare regardless. I think they're in the first 300 or so serial range of Henry production, if our memory serves right. I have seen a couple pictures online of some pristine iron frame Henrys that it was definitely bluing on the receiver. So I'd love to see if anybody has a link to a picture of an original case hardened one that has the original case hardening intact. I don't doubt that they exist. I just really want to see one. Some of the features of the early Henry, obviously the iron frame, and also to add, from what I understand, they did produce brass frame Henrys with the same serial number in some cases as iron frames. So whether they were made at the same time or they started over when they started the brass frames, or they were made concurrently, I don't know, but there are instances of iron frame and brass frame Henrys with the same serial number. Just found that interesting. But obviously the iron frame is a feature. The rounded off top of the butt plate is seen in early Henry production in iron frames and brass frame. And I've noticed also that the stock has a more of a what they call a fish belly profile, kind of rounded on the bottom, where you will see the brass frame is more straight. It might be hard to catch on camera. It's very slight, but that is, I've also seen that in original Henry, so just something to point out. I've had both of these guns. Well, I've had the brass frame probably about 10 or 15 years, and the iron frame maybe 5 to 7 years. I kind of antiqued the brass frame rifle myself. I stripped the stock. I did some vinegar process to get a little bit of the mustard color. I also added a Track of the Wolf buckhorn sight. It did have this style sight on it, the ladder sight. At my age, my eyes, it's getting harder and harder to see. Those are really hard sights to see, but this definitely helps with close-up shooting. I've shot black powder and smokeless through this gun, and smokeless only through this gun so far. I'm using the old Lyman, whatever it is, the 498 mold, and an accurate 215 mold, which I bought for more black powder use because it has the larger grease grooves. With Swiss powder, black powder, I was getting probably close to 1,300 feet per second through this gun with some pretty decent groups at 50 yards for what it is with the buckhorn sight. I was using unique loads and smokeless, which I'm not going to talk about how much, but it was right around the 1250 mark in velocity. 24-inch barrel, same on both guns. This one here I've only shot with the unique loads. They both shoot good. They're heavy guns. I don't know if you ever get to handle one or you have one yourself, you know what I'm talking about. They're not light guns. Probably, I think they're around 10 pounds or so unloaded, if I remember right. A little awkward. They can be a little awkward to shoot when they're fully loaded. The follower, every time you cycle the action, it drops around. At some point in time when you're holding the gun, you have to move your hand as the follower comes down. Like I said, there's a lot of videos on these that you can watch on YouTube that give you a lot more details about the function and everything of these and give you a better idea. To get into what's a little different about these guns, like I said, this one, you don't see a lot of blued frame Ubertis. Most of them are case hardened. This was on my short list and I've been looking for one for a long time. Bid on a couple in auctions and always missed out. I actually ran into this one at a local Cabela's and traded a Sharps reproduction for it, and I'm happy to have it. I do believe it's rare. I've seen probably 4 or 5 for sale, you know, over the course of the last 5 to 10 years. They don't come up a lot. The odd thing about this gun is it is a North and South Skirmish Association gun. It's marked NSSA on the top. I've personally seen one other of these, and I've only found one thread online talking about them, but my understanding is they were made for the North and South Skirmish Association. Looks like there was about 500 of them made, if they made all of them. So not that that adds any value, it's just an interesting tidbit about that particular gun. I'd be curious to know more about those. Like every video I do, I'm always curious to learn more about what I have. But those are my 2 Henrys. Load them up and shoot them all month long without reloading. Hope you enjoyed it.